All righty, bow hunters, welcome back to another episode of Becoming a Bow Hunter. Sitting here online with Mr. Harry Watson. Welcome back, sir. I'm good, mate. So I don't know when it was. Is roughly episode 50 or thereabouts. We had an episode, and I remember the name was it was something along the lines of getting ridiculously close to animals, because we were talking about your hunting style, and a lot of what you do is pretty much, I would say, hunting like a traditional bowman with wheels instead, right? You're always trying to get as close as possible to the animal and really enjoy your time with them as much as possible.
Yeah, I think it's just, maybe it was the way I was brought into bow hunting.
Mm-hmm.
I was with, under the guidance of Smitty, and he always said to me, like, if I took a 30-yard shot at something, I'd go, oh, yeah, he was close. He'd go, no. And I'm like, oh, right. And he goes, yeah, try him at 10. So then and the more you do it, and then when you do get at that distance, I don't know, it's just, it's that in the zone type, like, yeah, I'll enjoy taking a shot. I might take once in a blue moon. I might take a 40-yard shot and if I hit a good ball or something like that. I'll go, yeah, that was a pretty nice shot, And it's not like sneaking in on a mob and you've got two rutting balls there and you're 5 meters off them or 10 meters off them. And I've seen some footage actually. I think it was I can't remember who it was, but there was 2 balls getting stuck into it in the tussocks.
Yeah.
Might have been bow hunting only, or one of them boys anyway. And I'm like, yeah, when you're 5 meters off them going at it, and you're at full draw and you can't get a shot, and they're looking up and giving you the hut, taking off. You don't need to kill us.
No, yeah, exactly. And I think it's although it comes with an extra challenge, putting yourself that much closer means that it's almost more of a done deal as well.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, like it's not, but
It's not, but it is in a sense. Like your chances go up.
And I'm like, I'm the same as anybody else starting out. I used to get nervous when there was a, I call a stag in or a buck or something, and he was, as soon as he got 30, I think, oh, I got to shoot him. Like, you come to realise that if everything's right, if the winds are right, and you'll put yourself in the right spot, they're going to walk into 5.
Mm.
And you're going to get a much better shot, much cleaner shot, and you start to relax at that distance. Whereas, early on, as soon as they get into 30 and they're walking towards you or they're running or whatever, you get a bit jittery on it. You might take a silly shot or something like that, but that really close encounter is like when I'm calling deer now, I just have a pin 720.
Yeah.
Which if you're in the right area, you see, I watch a lot on YouTube. And I see a lot of guys they're never going to get a shot at 20 because of the way they're setting up. That's a lot of the stuff I learned with, I used to hunt with Red Fullock and Brad and things like that. And everyone's got their own style and they set up. Brad always sets up with something in front of him, like a half a screen, so that when an animal walks in and gets to 20, it's got to then turn sideways to get around it.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got that shot broadside. And Daryl, he sets up in something so that animal walks left or right, it's only going to be 10 or 15 yards. And so he gets his broadside shot. Whereas I like a tree behind me to break, and I don't care if I'm a little bit open in front. I never set up, and I see the Yanks do this a lot in the elk, where the elk's got to come up the hill and then come onto a plateau.
Mm-hmm.
They set up 30, 40, 50 yards across the plateau. And invariably, when an animal comes to a plateau, it's like human. If we were somewhere and you heard someone screaming and you went looking for them and you come up the hill and then there was a flat, what's the first thing you do? You come up.
Skirt it. Yeah.
Your head gets level with that flat, we do this.
Mm-hmm.
Look.
Yeah.
He comes up there and he stops and looks and goes, no, that looks a bit suspicious. So he turns around and walks away.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Or it's an area where when it's really open, when they come up on a plateau and it's fairly open and they can't see anything, they can't see another animal there that you've been calling, a cunning sort of animal will get a bit suspicious of that. So
yeah, definitely.
I tend to stand over where I can see them coming up. So you've got all this hidden ground behind you. So they think the calling's coming from behind. So they can't see what's there. So they want to come up invariably they'll walk up broadside to you, and it could be right next to you, but you're standing there with you've got good back cover and all that, and you're at full draw already, then they'll shoot him just there or just there. Come up the rise, but by the time he stops, you're already on him. That's how I set up anyway.
Yeah. It's a good little insight. I mean, really, what we wanted to talk about on this podcast is red deer in particular. Given that the time of the year we're about to go into the rut, I mean, really, it's the most exciting time of the year for most of us in bow hunting. And I wasn't actually going to do a red deer a red deer podcast this year, because I've done a few with Shilfie and stuff. I was like, you know what? I actually always love watching your content during the rut because you always put out a lot of good stories. You share a lot of insights. You call in a lot of deer and you'll just film them just to be like, oh, this is a young guy, or yeah, he'll do well in a few years' time, so I'll just leave him. And it's just cool to see your methodology and how it works consistently. And so I was like, let's get more perspective on it. Why not? Like, everyone's got a different perspective based on what their hunting styles are. And really, the stuff that I did with Kev has been really good and really insightful, and everyone should go back and listen to that if they're hunting reds this year. But yeah, I thought, why not do another one and get your perspectives based on the places you've hunted and the stuff that you've seen. And I remember even going to a talk where you were at it with Smithy and Shilfie on a panel with Summers, as well as the dog and gun event, which was actually recorded for the podcast. But you and me were standing side by side and talking bits and pieces. Like, as I was saying stuff, you'd say something extra to me. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Well, that's a little good little insight based on, yeah, what you were saying and what they were saying as well. So, yeah, I really wanted to kind of dive into it. Unfortunately, my red deer hunt this year has been booted, because essentially my auntie and uncle have put some paid hunters on the block and they've paid out the whole fucking time of the rut. So I'm a bit devo and I'm trying to move hell and high water to get onto a different block. And I don't know, it's looking half promising. So I'm not sure, but I don't know if I'm going to get to hunt reds this year, unfortunately, which crushes my soul a little bit. But I've still got some time on the fallow, so I'm excited at least for that. But we're about to step into this weekend. Will be like the day that this drops is going to be, where are we at? It's going to be April. That's why I can't see it properly. It's going to be the 15th. So pretty much the prime time when people will start getting out and probably start hearing some early roars, and the boys are probably moving into their good locations right now. Maybe we should do, firstly, an overview of red deer and what they do for roughly a year. If you think about, I guess maybe the springtime is kind of when they drop their antlers and start to regrow them in the start of December, I'd say. Like, is that roughly right?
That's pretty rough, yeah, depending on their age, I suppose, and their maturity.
Yeah. And so they start to grow them out and pretty much hit velvet by February, and then start scrubbing and start rubbing from there.
You know,
Australia Day. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Still in velvet usually, that's obviously down the snowy mountains. That could be a month, or not a month, but a few weeks different to up here, just like the start of the rut. They might start roaring down there early, and that can depend on feed.
Yeah.
If it's a really dry year and they're not really energetic, they might only start roaring and rutting hard for that really late March and early April and through the end of April. Whereas in a really good season, when they're fat and they're really energetic, they might start mid-March and go right through till. I've seen stags are already chasing hinds in I think it was mid-June or something like that. They're just does that come on, like young does maybe on late, so the stags hung around for them.
Yeah. I
don't know how that works really, but they obviously, if he was around somewhere and smelt them, or he knew she was going to come on, or that's just a nature thing. But yeah, I've heard of stags riding does in July.
Yeah. Just because they've missed the estrus, essentially, like they haven't gone pregnant, essentially, right?
It could be last year's born, and she's just not old enough in that April period when they start cycling, March, April.
Yeah.
So she comes on late, so now old mate hangs around for that.
I can't remember who was saying it, but someone was saying just recently, I think it might have been when I was at the Twin Elements event, they were saying that they just shoot everything. If it's outside of season, they'll try to shoot that hind, because otherwise it can mess up the ongoing seasons from there on out. If that hind's going into estrus in July, let's say, that she's then going to drop fawn later, and then it could throw out her whole cycle, and then it could potentially pivot the starting times of the rut. Is that anything you've ever heard?
That sounds silly to me, but you
Yeah, I can't remember who said it to me.
don't understand that mentality. Look, that's obviously been going on for 1,000 years. Like young does are going to come in, so
Mm,
they're going to come in late probably because just of their age. Like it's then the next year they're probably going to come in with the other does in March, April. I don't understand that mentality, but
I don't know if it was young ones in particular, or if they were talking like if it's an old hind that they saw coming into estrus late. Yeah, not the young ones. Yeah.
they might be that. Yeah, I don't know. That could be something like I know cattle, like a bull could jump on a cow today and she doesn't fall to him, but she'll come back on in 3 or 4 weeks. So maybe deer do the same thing, maybe.
I'm pretty certain they do. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I've never heard that one before, but
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so back to the cycle. Essentially, they will rub out their antlers, then rubbing the velvet off. So they're going to hard velvet kind of end of January, start of February. They rub it all off, and then start to make their march to their breeding grounds, essentially, or their rutting grounds in March. And then March, April is when the rut fully starts, once they're in position and kind of going. And usually a mature male, I believe, like a dominant stag, will typically try to go back to his same breeding locations most years.
yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I'm not sure they do it all the time, but I have seen the same stag back in the same area with the same mob of does.
Yeah. And how close of a like ground are you talking about when they've been in that same area? Usually in the same gully every year, or
He could be in the, yeah, he'll be working that same, because like a lot of hinds, unless they're pushed or, unless they're shot out or chopped or pushed hard by dingoes or something like that, they want to live in the one valley all their lives.
yeah.
So that's where they are. And if there's a dominant stag in the area, he's probably going to get that. Generally, I think that dominance, those big older stags rub out earlier and they get them ones early. They might start roaring, but they're back there.
Yeah, well, just collecting the harem, essentially.
And in a couple of days to check out a mob of hinds, because I know there's a big stag that's in that area, and I'm just hoping he's with them. And it's mid-March now, so I'm hoping he's with them then. He won't be, I'd say 90% he won't be roaring, but I don't want him to be roaring. Or finding with them hinds and he's where I want him to be in a decent gully, I'll just try and stalk him and shoot him.
Yeah, definitely.
Wouldn't you? Like for the next 2 or 3 weeks, then meat's really edible, he'll still be fat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably mostly obviously I'll hunt. If I see a really big stag, a big 6 or bigger, I'll try and shoot him for his head. But most times now, I want 3 or 4 stags in the freezer.
Yeah. Set yourself up for a good few months or a year.
Well, I'm just eating the last to be venison from last year now. So
yeah, okay, that's pretty good deal.
Yeah, well, we eat venison probably 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah.
By about now you're starting to get a bit sick of it, but you're running out, so I've slowed down. I'm eating a bit more beef now, and
yeah,
if you mince it and you use it in all different ways, stir fries and that, then you sort of don't know the difference between it and beef really. Anyway.
No, exactly. It's very palatable. Often my wife will be like, "Is this beef?" I'm like, "No, it's venison." She's like, "Oh." It's nice that you can cover it up like that. And then so after the rut, then the boys they'll stick around sometimes on their block and just refeed. Sometimes they kind of hide away a little bit with that. I feel like the dominant stags disappear a bit pretty quickly. What are your thoughts on that?
They know if there's hinds in there that haven't cycled yet, but if they're checking hinds in their valley or wherever it is, and there's nothing, everything's been served, I reckon they must be able to smell it, and they'll just move off. And I'd say a lot of times they'll move and go look around for other hinds, check them, but I'm not sure of that. But yeah, usually then they just friggin' disappear into the ground. A lot of the times they just
it seems like they bachelor up, but they never see the really good ones there in the bachelor mobs.
Oh yeah, you do.
In May, May, June. You've seen that pretty.
I hunted 2 stags last year. One had 3 antlers, and one was a big, really big 6, 5.
Yeah.
Would have put him on the wall, and the other one I would put him on the wall just because it was a 6 on one side. He was a 4 or a 5 on the other, and he had a big antler coming up through the middle with a twin tops on it that was about, it was probably over 2 foot long, that one.
When you say through the middle, like it was still coming from one of the coronets, or it literally had a third antler, like the unicorn?
I was 40 yards off him one morning early, and it was a bit foggy. And I hit him with the rangefinder about, I don't know how many times, because I really wanted to shoot him. He was speeding on a lantana bush, and I hit him and hit him and hit him. And early in the morning before the sun comes up, it's really deceptive. Put it away. And I'm thinking, it was 50 or 60 yards, and I had to crawl under a fence. I've got to get under this fence and get closer. I kept hitting him with a rangefinder, and it kept saying 50, 35. And I'm thinking, he's not 35. Like, I knew that. And I'm thinking, is he 50? And I thought, I'm not going to just take a shot at this stag willy-nilly. He was just standing there broadside. I had no clue I was there. I'd spotted him from 400 or 500 yards away and come up a gully and sneaked in and got to this spot where I was pretty much, it was going to be noisy trying to get under the fence through this wet grass and then to get closer to him. And I was standing there trying to range him, and just, I don't know if it was the fog or what it was, but this rangefinder just wouldn't give me a true reading. And I stood there and stood down. I could feel the breeze start to move a little bit. And he put his nose up once and looked around, and I thought, oh, hey, come on. And he kept click, 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 click. Anyway, he ended up putting his nose up, and he must have just got a really light wind, because he just walked off. And he walked off and went over the hill. And I just let him go, because, there's no point trying to follow the rhythm. And then I stood there, and I got up a bit higher, and I stood up on the fence, and I ranged the lantana bush he was speeding on. He was 40 yards.
Far out.
And I was like, oh, I could have smoked him like that. Oh, no. Anything else was right, but I'd been there for long enough. He was feeding, and I would have smoked him, I reckon. And I just went, but that's the decision you make, because if he had been 50 and I'd taken a 40 and I thought he was 40, then I would have shot under him.
Yeah.
And if he'd have been 40 and I thought he was 50 and I shot him, I would have backstrapped him or something like that. So anyway, we give him 2 or 3 days rest. And I went back, and I was standing in the exact same spot that I spotted him from the day before. And I was looking around, he's not there, he's left, And something caught my eye down to the right, and I looked down, because he was on his own that day. And I looked down and thought, that's something weird in that lantana down there. And I put the knockies on it. Thought, that's a big set of antlers. And then I look above it, and here's me 3 antlered stag. And I'm thinking, well, who's that? And it's this big 6'5". And I was like, why not? They're feeding straight back to where this other bloke was the other day. So dropped down, went around, come in on them. Bruise is not bad. It's sort of pushing this way, and they're down there. And they're feeding on the street, walking straight towards me. And I videoed them that it didn't come out very well. And I think they got to probably, might have been 50 or 60 yards, and they both just had their heads down feeding, and the bruise was dropping in the gully below me this way, and they were here on that ridge. I was real happy with the spot I had. They were going to walk past me at 30 yards. And I heard crashing down in there. But I don't know if there was a few more bachelor stags in that area. And I don't know if it was them or it was pigs, smelled me or what it was, but they trotted off, and I've never seen them since.
No way. That'd be a very interesting head to get held on, like that unicorn head. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'd never seen one. I'd seen them with big, I shot one last year with big, just single spikes, like a unicorn type thing.
Yeah.
Spikes like that. And he would have had 4 big ones, but one broke off fighting. And, but this bloke was, really unique. Like he must have been like a 6, 8 or something like that, if you can, but.
Extras. Yeah.
6, 7 or something like that. But I just wanted him because he was so different.
Really. Yeah, definitely. I love a unique head. I don't know, something about it, just because it's so different to anything else, right?
I had a choice between the unicorn looking thing and there was a nice double 6 there, and this other thing walked out and thought, put the knockies on him, and I thought something weird about its head, and I called him in a little bit, had a good look at him, and I thought, no, I'll shoot you. I don't think he was actually like what you call a long head, where that was his genetics. I think he probably
bumped it. Yeah.
He did his coronet when he was young. So instead of growing a big antler with tops, he's just grown big spikes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super interesting.
Well, anyway, I ended up shooting you. Got his head Euro, man.
Oh, good. And so after that, then they'll go back to where they hang out for the time to drop their antlers then. And so
these blokes were all backs for the day. They would have stayed there if I hadn't probably disturbed them because they were in a paddock, really good paddock with no cattle and plenty of feed. So they would stay in that area, and they were probably 2 or 3 k's from where there's any hinds.
Yeah.
That's not that far, though. Like
No.
some go a lot further.
Yeah, that's interesting.
They just live around there, and I think that's like a nature thing where the does are off over there, or the hinds. Hinds are off over there. They're at fawns. They probably don't want the males around them while they're fawning, and the males probably don't want to be around the hinds either. So they just jet off, and I think, a lot of nature do that. Wolves do that. They go away from the hind. They come on season, then they'll come back in.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So, given this weekend that you're heading out, what's kind of your plan when you go out this early in the piece, when it's essentially kind of literally mid-March, between 15th and 20th, let's say? What are kind of your plans and concepts you're doing when you go out?
Well, I'll be just I'll probably do a lot of glassing, try and find hinds and lay out around them, because, like, obviously, like in some areas, like I suppose down south and that, there'll be stags. They could be already raw in some areas. Don't think where I'm going. I don't think they will be, but obviously, if I hear a stag roaring, then the idea would be to get in a good spot, try and call him in, because he's probably looking for hinds this time of year.
Yep.
That call would be a good thing. But what I intend to do is just, I've got an idea where these hinds are, so I'll just get the wig right and basically just slow stalk and just look and just glass, try and find a hind, and then have a good look. And if there's nothing around, and I don't know, I'll just poke around. There's plenty of hogs there, so I'll probably, shoot pigs, and just if I come into a good spot and I see rubs or anything, I'll set up and blind call.
Yeah.
Bring a stag to me. Like
blind call. What's your preference for blind calling at this time of year? Would you hind or raw? Like a hind call or raw?
Probably blind call. Always hind call to start. I reckon it's less intrusive. If my mentality is, if I hind call to start and I get a response, and I'm the same with elk. When I'm on elk, I do the same thing. So I hind call, and then if I get a response or I call him in, he's not going to be wary. There's no other. He doesn't know there's any other male there.
Yeah, you're not posing a threat, essentially.
He said that it's a girl, so he's probably going to walk in less wary. If you raw, sometimes they'll want to get high on you, or they'll want to get your wing to see how big you are, and that all depends on the time of the year. Like sometimes this time of the year, you'll get that response from a raw. But I'll start off hind call, and I'll call, and I might sit there for 10 or 15 minutes. And if I see nothing and hear nothing, then I might just let out a couple of low roars, and then I'll sit there for another 10 or whatever. And if there's no response, then just slowly move off. But it's sort of fairly situational. Like it there last year, a couple of times, they'd hind call and I'd hind call and they'd rule back a lot, but they wouldn't come. And then I'd give them a little roar with it, and they'd come walking down.
No, isn't that interesting?
So
especially like this time where they're trying to collect their harem, essentially, right? So it makes sense. They're like, well, oh, hold up, he's going to try challenge me for my girls.
Well, I think a couple of them situations was, I know with one, he stayed in one spot. He wouldn't move, and I got into probably 150 yards off him. And like they sound like they're 50 yards. Every time I hind called, he'd roar his head off. And I reckon he was where he wanted to be. He either had hinds with him, I couldn't see, and he was where he wanted to be, and he wanted me to come to him. I give him a couple of roars. He thought, oh, there is a hind there, but there's a stag. I'll go get that hind off that stag. And he came down towards me, and then he cut around like that, and he was almost on my wing when I shot him.
Yeah.
He do that to me. So I think, to my way of thinking, that's what they thought. First off, they thought, oh, that's old Mrs. Smith coming. I'll just fit cool, and she'll come up to me. But because I wouldn't, and then I and I'd have to try and roar real hard at him. Not he. Then when I'd give a low roar to him, he just thought, oh, well, yeah, I'll mate you with her. I'll go and get it.
Yeah.
And when he come down, yeah, I shot him. And this is one of them stags I shot wasn't a very old stag, probably only 4, but he was just a double 4. And the other one was a really old stag, big old double 4.
Are you talking about around this time of year, like mid-March, that you've shot those 2?
Yeah, that was probably in a week's time, I reckon that was.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think the earliest I've heard them roaring is around the 17th is when I've heard them starting to kick off, and it was only small little amounts, like not heaps of it at all.
So last year they were doing that, and they'd roar to you, but they wouldn't come.
Yes.
They didn't come to me last year till, yeah, it was nearly the end of March.
Yeah.
And even then, a couple of times it was a long, drawn-out situation. I called one in, and that might have been into April, but I called him out. I reckon he was a kilometre away across the valley. And I called, and I just started blind calling because I knew there was a stag in that area, and he roared back at me, and then it took him probably half an hour to get to me. Well, he had we run down the mountain that side, got to the creek, and then he got a bit lost. And my mate was down in front of me, and I give him a whistle. I'm like, "Where is he?" He goes, "Oh, he's running up and down the creek. He doesn't know where we are." And I'm like, "Oh, right." So I grabbed my trusty little caller and give him a couple of real heavy calls, and he goes, "Nah, here he comes." And he just come running up, and he shot him at like 10 yards.
What's your caller?
One
One of the little electric ones.
I've got one here somewhere hanging around. I like it wasn't a brown snake. Still shoot, man.
Yeah, okay.
That's all you need. Like, honestly, that's all. The good thing about those things is they go straight in your pocket there.
Yep.
Well, they're not noisy. They're not in your way. Yeah, every now and then you leave one behind, but you just go down to water 10 and go, give us 6 inches of ag pipe.
Yeah.
They got sound. Man.
Yeah. Just gives that tinniness to it, doesn't it?
It gives a bit of rafts to it. And I don't know. Well, I'll tell you what that was. That was the end of one of my elk calls. It's still got that old predator camo on. And I've got a couple that don't have that on there. I don't even know why that's on there.
That's why you couldn't see it. The camo.
I don't think quite one skinny. Yeah, I always leave it red.
Yeah, I've done that before.
Or lippy anyway or something.
Yeah, okay.
Still I carry I carried that for calling. I have been out with guys that use electronic calls, and they work all right. They sound funny. Like I remember I was out one day and there was someone hunting the same place I was hunting, but that was the fallow, and me, and I could tell. Real tinny, like really bad. And I was like, "Whoa, you can?" And I walked past this person. Well, they had their caller going. I just kept walking. I was like, "Yeah, I understand."
Yeah, I actually I was on a mate's block once, and he was a rifle shooter, but he just held his phone up. He'd just play it, the roaring stags. It sounds so bizarre.
On there, it's got all the calls up, but now you know your speaker with it and put it up really loud.
Yeah,
I can't be bothered. To be honest, I just can't be bothered. I couldn't be bothered setting the speaker up. It'd be good. It would be handy. Like if you're hunting on your own, you could put the speaker back 30 meters or something behind you. It could
definitely
still Bluetooth, and would give them something. But that's that same thing again. If you set up right, or if you've got a stag or whatever, an animal coming, and he's coming really good, then you can always move forward anyway.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're in that right position. But if you're set up right, and like what's said about beforehand, set up. If I've got my back to a tree and my camo's anything like in front of that tree, I've had deer at 5 meters and they still don't hold there. They don't see too deep or whatever. They don't know depth of
perception. Yeah.
You just look like you're part of that tree. As long as you don't have your big white face sticking up.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I don't believe in face paint or anything like. Sometimes I wear one of those the old 3D head things.
Yeah.
I reckon you look like a geek, but they're invaluable. I reckon I've had some real close encounters with them, or you just basically you step if you stand in the right spot, shoot at your bow up in front of your face anyway.
Mm.
They're not going to put in the base.
What's the 3D headpiece you're talking about? Like meaning a ghillie suit type thing, or just the actual face mask?
No, not a face mask. Just you pull it over your head and it's got all the fluffy, leafy shit on it.
Yeah, kind of like the ghillie suit style thing. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
What my what would you impression of like a face mask? Yeah, like if you've got a real white face, and an animal's 10 meters from you, like I'm looking at you now, and your face looks really white. If you were in the bush, you had a black cap on and a white face, and I seen you at 50 yards, I'd go, "Hey, there's a white
It
face."
stands out. Yeah, exactly.
But if you've got a bow in front of your face, or if you've got any sort of a beard or dark skin, I don't believe that shows up that much. What animals see, in my opinion, is exactly what you see in the bush. If there was a guy standing across there on a ridge, 300 meters away, how would you recognize him? How would you recognize him?
Yeah, I mean, either I guess 300 meters away, it's going to be, if they're in the sunlight, they're going to be shiny. But other than that, silhouette, right?
What's he going to have on top of him?
Yeah, probably a hat or some sort.
Head.
Oh, got you.
I believe that animals recognize that and that.
Yeah.
So if there was a stump over there and a bloke sitting next to it, and they're both the same size, you'd say that's the bloke because he's got a head.
Mm.
So if you take that out of the equation, if you've got like a head net on, like a ghillie suit that drops down, and that's why snipers and all that wear them.
Yeah.
It takes that head and it doesn't look like a head anymore. And that, I believe animals see a lot. I see it on all sorts of videos that you'll see a guy sneaking along in the grass and you'll have something, you'll have a black cap on like yours, if in full camo, a nice green camo or something like that, same as the grass. Then he'll stick his head up and he's got a black cap on and his head's sticking above the grass. You're like, mate, you're dark. Like, you'll never get a shot at these animals, and you see it all the time. Like, well, I always wear, like, I'll wear something like this is as dark as I'll wear.
Yeah.
I just don't like, and if I'm cooling, I don't think it's that important, like to get rid of your head because I'm always got a tree behind me or something like that. But I think that's just my impression of what animals see. They see that body, that square thing, and then it's got a round head on it, and that's what they recognize.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
If it's moving, it's even worse, and it's all part of it. You know what I mean? But that's if I'm looking for my mate in the scrub, I'm looking for a head.
Yeah, I've always used like essentially a face mask all the way up to the eyes, and usually a camo hat, so it's down pretty low. So it's pretty much this much is being shown. And that's always worked well. I've had reds come in very close to me with that.
That's where that's going to work is, like how far away can you see someone's face? It's going to be under, unless you got a white face, like I said, unless you got a white face and you go sticking up like that with the sun shining on you, then they'll see you.
Oh yeah, 100%. And that's the thing. I've always been in the shadows when that's worked well. I've never been in bright sunlight or anything for that to work.
Yeah, but that's my thing. Like once they're under 30, or under 40 even, that's when they're likely to see your face.
Mm-hmm.
So your bow should already be up.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't even know where we started with this conversation.
That's all right. So we've got pretty much through week one. Week one, we've essentially covered to kind of like I'd say the 26.
It's basically, it might be something, but it's basically stalking, looking for rubs, and I might find a line of rubs somewhere and think, well, there's a stand here, or hopefully he hasn't left.
What do you mean by that? Like he just might be passing through that space, or?
Yeah, that might be between where he grew out, and then he might come back to that area and rub out, and then he might move off and he might move another K to find his hinds, or there could be hinds in that area. But I'm just saying, I've seen the areas where, wow, he's rubbed out here, but it's not here now. For next week, and that could be this week,
Yeah.
He could have rubbed out for the last Well, he would have rubbed out in January and stayed there in that area till about now. And now then he's going to move the rest of the way, or you know what I mean? I'll look for runs in fresh, like real still sappy and stuff. Then that's an area I'll stalk and hunt and look around. And you'd use the smell there anyway.
Oh yeah, definitely. If they've been in the area.
Yeah. Always trust your nose. So many times I haven't trusted my nose.
Yeah.
I'm working against a steady wind and I smell a deer now. I don't move. I just stand there and go, there's a deer here somewhere. And 99% of the time, there is a deer.
Yeah. Yeah. I've killed 3 deer that way, just smelling them. I'm like, it's here somewhere. And then, yeah, walk around the corner, like walk around the bush that I'm standing next to, and sure enough, they're right there.
You got to trust that nose. Like, once you learn what a deer smells like, and like this guys who can tell, look, I've smelled deer sometimes. I'll go and I'll just look at Smithy and go, he'll go, well, not that good. I mean,
give you an age and location, everything. Yeah, true.
Maybe this time of year, it's more just go flow. It's more knowledge stalking, like it's just poke around the edges, look areas with you. If you know there's a stag in the area, just poke the edges, try and get your knockers in there, find them bedded or find them feeding or something like that. Try not just to barge in and bust them out of there, because that's the last time they're just likely to move,
So if you find their bedding space, are you ever entering that space?
Just trying to think of, I've got one area that I checked a week ago, and no, I stayed on the outside because I can get a fair look. Like I might see a deer in there, but I'll see a bush move. Then it was late. I was checking it late in the afternoon to see if they were feeding, and I didn't. No, I didn't. I don't like going in until it's the last call. You know what I mean? Like look there again and check that area again. And like you're looking, I suppose, doing that sort of thing. You're trying to stay out, get your knockers in there, and trying to find an antler or see a tree move or a bush or something where they're feeding, and then just stay back a little bit, try and find a deer that you really want. And if there's nothing there you really want, you don't want to shoot one for me, and just step back and walk away and look for that.
I was talking to Randy about this just the other day, and he was saying, like, if you think about that as being their absolute safe space and you're entering it, that's enough for the deer to move on to another valley or another gully if they're feeling threatened because you're in their bedding space. So yeah, definitely.
Could you get real close to them and bust them? Like obviously a lot of times they used to, cow probably might ride through there with his dogs or something like that, and they'll run, watch him go, but he keeps going. So they sort of he's moving through. But if you sneak in there with your bow and you're in real close to them, and they jump, and then you start trying to stalk them again or do something like that, it looks stupid.
No, they know something's up.
And if it's not an area that they really want to be in, then they probably will leave. Not only go
over the ridge or something, but that for a small block, that could be you're hung over.
That could be in your rut. All country like that. Stay out of it till you find something that you want to kill, and then before you go in there.
Yeah. And so at what point does your methodology change during the rut then? When would you change your approach based on when the boys start talking more?
As soon as they start showing me that they're interested, and it's when I start getting in a bit closer and call them a bit more and try and get a look at them first. Like, just depends. Like, if I'm shooting from me and I know and I've got a fair idea, I'll call them in. And 9 times out of 10 in a lot of areas in the Brisbane Valley, they're cold snags. Like they're double saws or something. They're never going to get any bigger, and if they're fat and it's early in the rut, then I'll just knock them over. Can't. I've nearly died a couple of times, I reckon, trying to, carry 30 or 40 kilos of meat out plus a head.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I'll try and shoot you when you're a bit closer to the gun.
I remember shooting a stag once with my my cousin's husband, and I was like, all right, mate, we're going to drag this over this hill, like down this valley, over this hill, get it to the car, and then we'll gut it and do everything once we get home. Like, we'll do it all back there. So we're dragging this full heavy deer. And he was huffing and puffing so hard. We probably got 10 minutes. He's like, we got to think of a different plan here.
Once it's downhill back to the track these days, everything gets boned out.
Yeah.
I carry pack sitting there. I just carry a heap of garbage bags in the pack.
Yep.
Everything goes in bags, a knife, a steel, and all that crap in there. And yeah, that's just how I travel when I'm hunting. And if I kill something, we pack probably get 30 kilos in there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it's not everything off a stag, but that's all the good stuff. And you're not, if you take everything off the bones, that's not bad. Really.
Definitely. Yeah. And so are you saying you're putting them into the garbage bags, the meat, and then just getting it back to camp as fast as possible and getting the heat out of it?
You're going to be back to a vehicle or something like
Mm.
a couple of hours, and then I just get it home as quick as I can, or in the Esty and chill it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I got a big ass pack now. It's like an 85 liter, and I've carried a whole red deer out on it without, like, just legs, back straps, not neck or anything, but yeah, taking that whole out, and that was a heavy walk, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm not that fit, so
it's not the nicest. What was that?
I'm not that strong anymore. You get to an age where you get smart.
Yeah, exactly.
And the last time I did that, it nearly killed me. I got halfway home and had to get out of the car. I had creeps that bad.
Oh wow. Yeah, fire out.
No, just bone them out, take every bone out. I don't want to be carrying bones.
Definitely.
Once you take everything out, saying for example, if I kill a spike or a doe for meat, I reckon I could bone her completely, and 30 kilos of nearly, that'd be nearly the whole deer, I reckon, just pure meat.
Definitely.
A really big stag, yeah, you'd probably get, I don't know, I can't. I'm just going on that day. I took the only thing I didn't take off this stag was the shoulder. I shot in through, boned the other shoulder out. Yeah, and I took most of everything else. And it was only, when I got home, I weighed it because I was wondering how heavy it was, and it was 30 plus. So yeah, I probably carried 40, yeah.
Yeah, wow. I thought that from red hinds, I was usually pulling about 30 kilos of meat just for a hind, but and a stag, I swear I was getting a lot more, but you might be more right. It might be the fact that I've also kept bone in on the neck.
Was the monster body stag, so.
Yeah, okay. And then, so you said that you pretty much, once the boys start talking a bit more, that's when you'll start to change your methodology. What does it change to?
Just like that same sort of, obviously if you get out there early, when you get out there early in the morning and I can hear a stag there, and sometimes I'll just sit back and go, well, he's moving down this ridge, or he's doing this, or he's pretty steady there. Because sometimes when this time of the year, they'll just be in an area and they won't leave that area. They mightn't even have any hinds, but I'll just sit there roaring, especially them younger type stags.
Mm-hmm.
He might not have any does, and I'll just check in and make sure what he's doing, and then I'll try and get into, I don't know, wherever's a comfortable spot. If I'm a couple of 100 meters off him and I find a good calling spot and think, he's got to come through here and he's got to do this, then I'll just sit back and start line calling and see what he does.
Mm.
And then at the last resort, and sometimes you'll line call, like I said before, like they'll just talk to you for forever. You might line call him for half an hour, and he just hasn't moved, and then you might give him a roar, and all of a sudden he'll start walking towards you for whatever reason. So I don't know if it's company or what it is, or he wants to come and check you out, or what it is. But yeah, that's it, and that's how I play it.
Yeah,
like Yanks call it the slow play.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's a bit of foreplay. I had a young fella on the side ridge. Like, I was on this ridge, he was on this ridge, and the wind wasn't great, so I did a big loop around him, and he was just a lone soldier, just sitting there roaring his guts out, not moving or anything. He was actually bedded by the time I got on top of him, and he was just bedded, roaring, letting out his little roars here and there. And then I gave him, I think I was in the shittest position, and gave him 2 hind calls just to see what he would do. And he hopped up and sprinted at me, and it didn't work out. He got me. He actually saw me and was like, nope, that's not right. And then, because I didn't have any back cover, it was early days on when I was hunting. I'm like, wow, that was an interesting experience. But it was just interesting to see how fast he reacted once I actually started giving him some calls.
I know he was very young.
Yeah, he was, yeah. I mean, he's still probably I'd say 4-year-old or something, 3 or 4.
I had 2 occasions last year where I called one stag I called for over an hour, followed him for probably 2 kilometres. And I said to him, mate, he was in heaven. I said, I'm not going higher. Like, he can stay there. I got the glass. I found him. And I said, he's just a cull stag anyway. And he's bedded. And he was bedded raw, the same thing. And I just went, I'm not. We're not going up there. And down the Let's Up Beat, because there was another stag calling across the other side of the valley. And said, let's have something big. We sat there and we were there for probably 10 minutes, and he's still calling. And I said to me, mate, is he moved? And he goes, yeah, he's moved around to the right. And anyway, we're still eating, having a drink. And I'm like, is he getting closer? And he goes, yeah, I think he's coming down. And like, he was 800 metres away from us.
Yeah.
And it started coming down, and I went, I'm just going to jump over here and get a drop here. I said, you stay there. If he keeps coming, give him a couple of uncles. Anyway, he just kept coming. He knew exactly where we were that stag. Like, that far away, way up in the mountain, couldn't see us. And he walked in, and I reckon he would have walked straight on top of me, mate. He gave him a couple of uncles, and he walked past me, I don't know, 25 yards, and I shot him, and we walked him, ran him out, and walked him back down to the car.
Yeah, it is crazy how accurate their hearing is.
That was probably a 2-hour follow, call, and he was roaring the whole time, but he was held down on getting back to that spot up there and laying down. But then he'd play 10 or 15 minutes to turn around and come back.
It's bizarre. And how long was it? So you said that you hadn't called him for a good 15 minutes or so when he was up in the hills. He started coming down. How far down the hill was he before you started giving him more calls?
Oh, probably halfway to us. He was probably 300 yards off us before we started calling him again.
Yeah, okay. It is just crazy how good their hearing is, though.
He knew the whole time. And we'd been sitting there, like not talking out loud all this. We'd just been sitting there, having something to drink and it's a pain in the arse, we walked all the way up here. And, and as you do, chasing your tail, walked all the way up and then get a look at him like, because you always think, that one way up there, like 2 kilometres away, Roar, he's got to be a big one. We got up there, he wasn't. He was just a cull stag, and I'm like, oh. But I saw him worked out in that area. I'm not saying this is everywhere, but I think I've worked out in that area, those cull stags, or, younger stags, not always a cull, but because age doesn't have anything to do with, what they're going to grow into, but they get pushed away from the bigger stags. The bigger stags push them away from the hinds. So they'd go back up there, wait for the day, bed down. Then they come back, and so I set a trail camera up pretty close to where that all happened, but down low on a wallow. And lo and behold, the big stag that we should have been chasing was living down there.
Yeah, wow.
We walked kilometres up this mountain, and the actual big stag was living down where he'd come from. We'd walk past him.
Yeah. Have you ever had many issues with when you're calling and then the satellite stags come in and ruin it for you because you're waiting on the bigger stags, or not really?
Yeah, that's always the case with calling. If you're around, and this would be later on really. If you're going to try and call a big stag off hinds, you're probably going to get like lesser stags coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So, you got to make up. You've just got to make that decision whether is he stalkable, or how am I going to get a stag to come, off. Last year I got one to come off 6 or 7 lines, but it took us hours and it was pouring rain. I put the video up on Instagram, I think, and the video was me laying on the ground in the pouring rain, shaking a tree like this, trying to make him think I was a challenging stag. So his wallow was just behind me, and he'd come off his hinds. But the problem was, he got to a gully. Me mate was set up on this side of the gully, and we didn't know, but that gully you couldn't get through it. It was a dead stream, and then a dead straight up here. So he got to it, and he looked in, and because my mate was only 30 yards from him, but he was sprung on the stag, and he was looking in like that. And then he turned around and went behind something, and he stayed there for 10 or 15 minutes roaring at me, but we didn't realise till it was all over, and we just let him walk away in the end. And he went back to his hinds, and they walked off, and then we had a look, and I went, I know why he didn't come in.
Yeah, far out.
100 meters that way and 100 meters this way was just a dead drop. So I was stupid to try and call him but I didn't know. You know? We
Yeah,
thought,
okay.
oh, he would have gone down that gully and walked up him over and shot him. But
Yeah.
it's all a bit, you know. That stayed there that come off their minds. There was only one other spiker, and he was on the other side of the lines anyway, and he didn't seem interested, but that fella just got a bit worked up. And because I was back near his wallow, I think he felt a bit, I don't know whether he felt challenged or.
Yeah. Are they super territorial of their wallows? Is that something you found?
I don't really know. Like, I think lots of I put a trail camera on a wallow last year, and I reckon I got 10 different stags on it.
Yeah, wow.
So they know, and they were just coming. I always put the camera on video, and you'd see them. They'd come in from here, sniff around, maybe have a drink, splash a bit of water, walk off that way, and then another one would come in from up there, splash around, walk off that way. One would come in this way, walk off.
Yeah, just all different directions. They're just passing by.
Checking the wallows.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. There's kind of like one name wallow that I've found on my block, and there was always like probably 4 or 5 deer around that same location. And it didn't seem like they're definitely not like the fallow where they'll come by and check their scrapes or anything like that. I feel like it's, at least on my experience, they're there either very early or very late, and that's kind of it. They'll go in, they'll have their dip, and then they'll bail out.
Yeah, I don't know that they're not like I don't think they're like a fallow buck when they have a scrape.
No, I don't think they use a wallow like that as such.
No, it's just to cool down, get a bit of mud on them, get flies off them, ticks or whatever, and
Keep going.
And, you know, so this is mine, and then the next one comes along and he does the same thing and pisses in there.
That's why they smell so good during the rut.
Oh yeah, it's nothing like skinning out a stag in the vapor. So you're welcome when you get home, that's for sure.
So when does your calling strategy change essentially from when they start talking? Are you doing anything different when they're starting to be a bit more vocal? Are you roaring more than you are hind calling, or you're always going for hind calls first?
Oh yeah, I always go for hind calls first. I think that's more. The more into the rut I get, the less I roar.
Mm-hmm. Will you ever do like a locator roar or something like that in the morning just to see what's about?
Yeah, mate. Yeah. But normally, like the stag, what I reckon a stag can hear me hind call from a kilometre.
Mm. With the piping or without?
Probably. Yeah, I can get further with the pipe, but
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
well, I mean, if you're in thick country, you don't want these. You're only hearing you some kilometres, a kilometre away. You only want them if if they're 200 yards away and you give a couple of hind calls and they give you a low roar, then that's all you want. You don't want them hearing you a kilometre away if you're working that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, but yeah, I still use that as a locator with a hind call or like a spiker. I'll give a spiker call sometimes or something like that, but nothing. I just don't like first off.
Did you say a spiker call? What's that?
It's a little bit like I call a spiker call only because I've heard spikes talk like that. It's like a heavy, raspy hind call.
Okay.
So it's a bit like, just like a,
Yeah, okay.
heavy type thing. And does do it too sometimes, but I think that's what I've heard spikers do a bit, like in the raw.
Yeah.
Roar out that they
play around with it.
Some spikes can roar just like friggin' big stag, but like some don't do that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Just the way they talk. And yeah, stags do that too when they're not roaring. That's how they talk
Mm.
to each other when they're feeding and stuff. You sit back and watch them and you'll hear them all the time.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I won't start the unintrusive one because, like I said, if you roar first and you do get one to come in, he's going to be looking for you, especially later in the rut because he doesn't want to get matched up. So if you hind call first and he goes, gives you a roar or whatever, then that's it. I won't roar again. If he starts to get interested and starts to come, no, never roar.
Yeah.
As soon as you roar, he's going to go. If he's not, unless he's the biggest stag in the area, he might come rush it in, but 9 times out of 10, if you roar, you're telling him, yep, come and have a go. So he's going to want to come high on you and into the wind. So
Yeah.
the wind's blowing so that way, he'll invariably come high and he'll come in and he'll want to come down upwind and he's gone.
I had that exact situation happen to me. It probably would have been, it was more so in like the height of the rut where everything was pretty vocal every single day. And there was one big boy on this side of the valley and I was over here calling him. And there was 3 satellite stags that I had no idea were there, all up in the ridges. And they came around and did that exact thing. There was 2 of them that came around me and got my wind. And I didn't see them coming at all. They just popped out because I'm focusing all my focus on this boy. And all of a sudden, one of them takes off. I'm like, what was that? And then the other one takes off. And then the third one takes off. I'm like, oh, God, what have I done? It was just all shut down from there. Yeah, I was roaring at him. We were just having a big vocal. And then these other 3 came around to try to see what I was.
Yeah, if I do get into that stage of roaring at a stag like that, then I'll do other things as well. I'll smash a tree or rub a tree, and then I'll walk down a bit. I might walk in 30 yards, and then I'll do it again.
Mm.
That comes
Challenging you, yeah.
I mean, well, and that can work 2 ways. If he's stirred up enough, we shot one like that last year, got him to come in, but it can work the other way. He could just get his irons. If he's not that confident, he'll get his irons and go.
Took off. Yeah, that's what happened to me last year. They ran away instead.
But that's not a super bad thing. It's better than him having you see you or wind you or something, because he only walked away from another stag, as far as he knows, away from a human.
It's a bad thing when it's your last day.
Then you shut your mouth and you follow him and try something, sneak in somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was actually something you said to me on that dog and gun event. You said, I actually prefer to keep my mouth shut most of the time. If he's roaring his head off, I'll just try to spot and stalk him as much as I can.
Yeah. Well, and if you get to a stage where you go, oh, I can't get in there, then it's time. Then you start. If there's a stag in an area and you think you can stalk him, then don't. Like that, you see it so much on YouTube. Like guys in America they'll be hunting elk, and there'll be an elk in a valley, and he'll be bugling, and they're up on the side, and they bugle back. Then why? We really tell them to look that way.
Yeah.
I just believe you're far better off. Shut up. Get in there. Have a good look where he is. And if he's in a spot where, we're going to no hope stalking him, then find a good spot, set up, and then start your pull. But if you get down there, you could be roaring laying in a wallow where you could get into 20 metres off.
Yeah.
So just assess it first before you start putting that fight to your mouth. Try and get a good look, or get a good. Sometimes you might have to make one call just to go. You might have heard him in a valley and say, I might sneak over there and I'll just go, and he'll go, right, he's in there.
Yeah.
I'll shut up. And I'll find a good spot to cut in against the wind, have a good look. Or if he gets real interested and starts calling real hard, then I'll find a good spot set up and wait till he comes to me. But sometimes they don't. Last year I had a big double 6, and we probably called him for half an hour, and he stood on a ridge. He was probably 60, 70 yards from me, raking his antlers in the grass, carrying on. I had the knockings on him. I was watching him thinking he's just going to walk straight past me and I'm going to shoot him. And he wasn't. He was interested as far as he'd call back and he'd look and he'd rub his antlers in the grass, but he wasn't coming. He just didn't come. Ended up, he just slowly walked up the ridge feeding and calling back at us and carrying on. But it was early.
Yeah, okay.
He just didn't have, we didn't seem like a find that he was interested in, or he wasn't interested in showing him and saying. He just walked off.
Yeah, wow. And so is there another phase of the rut essentially where you change your methodology again?
Once you get, I think once that first and second week in April when they're really going off, then that's the time when I think sometimes you can't hind call them. You can hind call them, of course, and they'll call there, but a lot of times they've got hind.
They've got so many there that they won't bother.
That's the other time when I might get in close, and if you try and a couple of line calls and he's not interested, he just wants to roar at you and push his hinds around, then that's when you try and get as close as you can and roar at him hard and smash a tree.
Yeah, just be a very essentially just a big challenge, right? Hey, I'm coming for you girls.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a loud roar. It's just something saying, "Hey, I'm getting close," and maybe you'll get him to walk over to you.
Mm,
It's a lot easier with 2 guys than it is with one.
yeah,
Well, like 30, 50 meters behind you, and you can get set up. If you can sneak into, 60 or 80 yards off the stag, and then he stays back and can do something and try and attract him, or even make him. Sometimes I'll just walk around and hinds or hind will start coming, you'll run over and try and push it back, then you lose your shot. That often happens. You often pull a hind off him and he want to run over and get her back.
with the stag call, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow, yeah,
Rattle the antlers, stuff like that. I've called a few reds in with rattling.
meaning like you'll actually take antlers out with you, or you just smacking trees or something?
Did it first time I just did it accidentally. Rattling for fallow, and a red started roaring at me, and I thought, he's mad. What's he doing?
Yeah,
So I kept rattling, and I thought, it's getting closer. He come out, and I would have shot him. Only he's seen me mate. So,
far out.
yeah, but he'd come in, like, obviously, like, once he started coming, I thought, he's pretty interested. I did him a couple of hind calls as well, but all that did was smarten him up and brought him straight up.
Mm,
And it happened a couple of times. But yeah, raking a tree, smashing a tree, just break sticks. I try not to do, depending on what sort of, if you've got nylon boots on, don't like scratching sticks on the ground, but anything sort of nylon or unnatural. But with me leather boots, I'll smash or kick a tree, or because they make noise. Like,
yeah,
at times they're gonna look at a noise, like people. I've heard people say in America, you can, when they're ratting and they're fighting and all that, you can make all the noise you like it in there. Well, you can, but it's got to be natural noise.
yeah, exactly. Can't just stomp through the yard.
Through trees with a nylon pack,
Yeah,
then it bush is gone.
Mhm.
Playing here with these deer, you can make a noise going in, but just be aware, any hinds that are around there are going to be looking towards that noise.
Yeah.
He might be, he might be looking elsewhere and call and walking around stupid, but them red hinds are not stupid.
No, they're so onto it.
Looking where that noise is coming from, and if you come bobbing over the hill with the black cap on you and your white face, or with anything on real.
Yeah. What about, like, you said before you were thrashing the sapling around? Would you do that in this situation where you're reasonably close and it's obviously going to give away your exact location, or do you try smarten up a little bit of that stuff?
Oh, you don't really. That's a hard one when you're on your own. The only time I do that when I'm on my own, it's if I can look over, so I can look over a bit of a ridge, and I can see a stag over there, and he's pretty interested, and I've got a sapling next to me that's, I know he can see the top of,
Mm-hmm.
shade it.
Yeah.
All he can see is that top.
That moving. Yeah, exactly.
And he thinks that's a stag down low.
Yeah.
If I was, and then if you look, then you could see him coming. You'd want to move.
Yes.
You'd want to move downwind somewhere, and then step up so he's looking at that tree and coming in. It's a bit of a tough one, but when I'm called for something, I use it all the time.
Yeah. You do a lot of solo hunting though, right? During the rut.
Yeah.
So how does your approach change then?
You just got to do it that way. You've either got to move, or you've got to be in a position where, that might you're right. You might, if he comes over a ridge like that, if you've got a good tree at your back, or you've got really good cover, then that'll still work. He'd probably still walk over and look into that gully, and you'll get a shot into his chest.
Mm-hmm.
Be close. You'd want to be, 20.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's all situational. Just depends on. I've not called deer in, but I've relaxed deer and done stuff like that just by picking leaves off a tree.
What do you mean relaxed deer?
Well, you might be walking along and you're looking, you go, oh, she's that hind's looking down this way. But you're just coming through some, she can't really see you, but she's heard something like that. So if you're just standing still on the watcher and she's sort of she's looking, if you just start picking leaves off a tree, just like that natural feeding.
Yeah.
You just probably heard something and just pick at it, or move your foot, move a bit of grass. Then I've seen deer just think, oh, it's a
pig or something, or it's something feeding, or yeah.
and they'll just relax. But obviously that's the saying. It's that situation when they haven't seen yet, they just heard something.
Yeah, yeah. I like that. I've not heard that. I've not come across that the whole time that I've run the podcast. So that's good.
It's not always a bad thing. Only if it attracts their sight and they're looking and then you pop out, then you make noise and they've heard a nylon-y, scratchy noise or anything unnatural like that. The deer's got you, they're gone,
Yeah, I got a new pack. I can't even remember how long I've had it for. Probably a year and a bit ago, maybe even 2 years now. And it's got that nylon. It's like a waterproof, and I regret it every time that I walk through some thick bush.
Yeah. I've got a Cougar like a day pack, and it's not too bad. It's like a canvasy type. So it's not, I don't know if you can see that hurts.
Yeah.
Rough clenching on it, but it's not too bad. And I've got a bigger Cougar one it's not too bad either, but some of them, I've looked at them in shops. I've thought, oh, that's not a bad little pack, but you touch it and they look, honestly, they all make a noise. You got to bring your pats on when you go through sticks. You got to just
go adjust to it. Yeah, exactly. Or go very, very slow.
And that's, them sort of noises are unnatural and you're always going to pull them off, but put them on you. But that's when I'll use, that's when I get a little bit more aggressive coming into it. When they're full on, then I get more full on.
Mm-hmm.
I still always start with a hind call, because if you've got a stag in an area and he might have, and sometimes a good stag that you put on the wall could still have got belted off a dozen hinds and be walking along roaring, just pissed off, then you give him a hind call and he'll come running up you.
Mm.
But they did him a walk.
He just been belted up, yeah.
When belted up, I'm not going there. So you always start, that's what I do anyway.
Yeah.
Same with elk, I always start with a cow call on them and work into that.
Have you ever tried the infant calls at all? The fawn calls?
Oh, no, not really, but you can do that like on reds. That's just a different type of, like that call that I do is more like an old hind call, and then you can try put things here and there, like if you want to sound like 2 or 3 reds together.
Yeah. Yeah, I did it last year where I had my most success was when I was essentially doing fawn calls and hind calls together. And he came in like nothing. Straight up the hill at me.
Yeah, you sound like a doe, and that's what they've got. They've got half grown, 3/4 grown fawns at that time of the year, so that's natural.
Yeah.
You're painting that you're painting that picture in their head of what they want to hear. Like I said, if you want to roar first, go for your life, and it might work. But you paint the picture in the head and it depends on how you roar. Oh shit, he sounds pretty big. Oh, I think I'll go up that ridge there, and I'll come around and I'll have a look over and I'll make sure I'll get into the wind so I can smell him, and then I'll make a decision if I want to walk in and talk to this bloke.
Yeah.
Just if you hear some big bloke in the pub or some bloke in the pub yelling he wants to fight, you always have a look first and go, oh, no, he's a big bitch.
What's surprising is how stealthy they are, right? Like it's a big stag and they'll sneak up on you. You won't even hear them, see them, and then all of a sudden they're right there. You're like, what the heck?
And I'm at a real disadvantage because I'm colorblind and I'm half deaf. So I just go slow. You just got to adjust to what you got, I reckon. I just walk slow in the bush and look harder.
Yeah. So obviously you slow down in your locations where you know that the hinds usually are. Yeah.
And then get into later in the rut. I think I still hind call first because I start thinking, say if it's getting towards the end of April, the mentality then for me is anyway, I could be calling stag that's what I said before, being had hinds, and either they're all, he's served them all, and so he's looking for more, or he's been belted off his hinds and he's walking around looking for more. So everything he's doing is looking for hinds. So for a start anyway, and then I'll try him with a low roar if he doesn't respond. And sometimes they don't respond at either.
Yeah.
But there's just times when animals are just they'll just look your way, and either your call's not what they want, or it's not good enough, or something like that. It's just that's hunting, you know.
Yeah. When have you kind of found that they go like, I guess like the height of the roar and then the end of the roar when they start to shut up? What have you kind of seen date wise for you?
Well, usually, well, I'll call the alpha fellas say you've got to be in the bush at the end of the first week, you know,
Mm.
and that's pretty much the height.
Yeah.
They're really aggro, pumping hard, and that seems to go for a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
Like before that, it's peak, it's coming up to the peak, and then after that, it's tailing down. But I'm only talking about Brisbane Valley area.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, was last year a bit of a different rut for you as well, or not really?
It seemed to be late.
Yeah. Yes, I found that a lot. Like I went out where it was kind of peak the year before, and then last year it was nowhere near the same. Like it was quiet compared to what it was previously.
And that can be any number of things. Like, I don't think they'll start in some areas. They won't start this year if it's really dry and they're not fat and energetic. I don't think they start as early, and they don't roar as much early till they get really, that testosterone really kicks in, and then they'll start, even if they're a bit skinny.
Yeah, preserve themselves.
But in some areas, and I was talking to you before about my fallow block this time last year, or even earlier than this, they were already croaking. Last week, and there's not a scrape and there's not a crow. So, but it's a really tough season there.
Dirt dry.
Been really dry. So they're there. We're sitting aside and you're seeing probably, I don't know, 50 or more does, and there's plenty of rubbies where they've all run out. So they're still there. They're just not croaking yet. And I just think it'll be that sort of rut where I'll just start a little bit later because they're not as energetic as they were last year.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it is very interesting. I think last year they had like ample feed where I was, ample feed, ample water. And so it was like, I don't know. For me, it just seemed like they were too easy. They had it too easy. They didn't have to work for it.
Yeah, that can depend on the hinds that are in the area and the other stags that are in the area. Sometimes if there's not enough stags there, they don't roar very much. Like they need something to turn them on. And that could be, sometimes that could be where you use that locator call.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I know sometimes when you do get one going, whether it be with a blind call or a locator call, then all of a sudden, there's one over there going now. Another one up there. It just takes one to get going. But if there's no competition or for whatever reason, moon phase and all that sort of stuff, they're just not going.
Yeah.
In the morning,
Yeah, I would often go out and just do a locator call at the start of the morning. More so when the wind was not favorable for where I knew they were, like where they tend to always hang out. I was like, well, I can't get in there this morning. Like it'll swell too much, or I'll probably get found out if I go. So I'll do a locator call to see what else is around, like you're saying, and just try go for something else instead.
that's pretty smart. Yeah, or if you're in that situation, it's a pain in the ass when you get somewhere and you think, I can't even go in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I pretty much spent a whole week last year and I just couldn't touch this area where I knew the big boy was, unfortunately. But yeah, part of it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And that's why a lot of them big stags, that's why they live in them areas, and that's why they get old.
Oh yeah, smart.
Where that wind does this crap, And if you do ever get in there and you get close, you need, look, most of the time, what's always in the back of my head is your first opportunity, take it.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it ain't going to last long.
Mm-hmm.
I know as far as what I've got areas where that's what we do. Like we know there's in those gullies that you might get, if you get within 30 yards of a deer, you've probably got a couple of minutes before that wind shifts again and it's trot away. So if you don't get a shot, the might as well just walk away. See, because they're going out that gully for that day and then they're back there next day.
Yeah.
Most of that's I'm talking about is fallow, like, but reds are probably a bit more transient.
I've often found actually, like if I wind them on one day, they won't come back for a good few days. Like it'll be 2 or 3 days later they'll come back. Yeah.
Just take right out of there.
Mm.
That's what I do. Just go, oh, yep, I'll go back and what's today? Yeah, I'll go back in a few days and check them again. And try not to bust them too much. But like I said, that a lot of deer, depending on where they are, if they're in cattle country or something, they're used to being pushed a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
I'll make rides along with his horses and bumps them up out of the lantana and goes, oh, there's a few deer going up there. But he keeps going that way. And so if you do the same thing when you're hunting, if you bump them, you know you're not going to get on. So you bump them and then you just walk off the other way. A lot of times if you look back, them hinds in that state might just stand there watching you go and they'd probably just relax then.
Yeah.
You're probably not, they're probably going to be on edge enough. You're not going to get another crack on them that day. Or you might in the afternoon, something like that. Yeah, it's a lot of times then they'd just probably relax and go back to breeding or whatever.
Yeah, I often found it was kind of a one and done, unfortunately. Once you've alerted them, they get into the thickness.
For that. Yeah, and I know I never really, to be honest, I never really push them. I'd rather just walk away and then go, right, tomorrow or the next day I'll come back. I know where you are.
Yeah.
A lot of times they're back there, so they probably do relax and come back. But we're in a new bow actually for this year.
Mate, yeah, we were talking about that the other day, and I was saying how you pretty much selling me on it without even just talking about it and just the stats of it. So you got a new Darton.
Yeah, I bought it. I seen a review on YouTube, and I thought, I never really had much to do with Dartons, and never heard. Years ago there was Darton bows, and then I seen this review and a few of the specs, and I thought, it'd be real forgiving bow, and the speeds and all that sort of stuff, and I thought, they look all right. And then a couple of my mates, I was talking to them about it, and they said, yeah, we're thinking about getting one because they were, I don't know, due for new bows. And anyway, they ordered one of them ordered a 35, and the other one ordered a 33, and Ian was Summers was tuning them for putting together. So I drove in. He's only an hour away from me, and I drove in there and had a couple of shots, and was like, yep, they're pretty impressive, and you can tune them without a press, and obviously you can't take the string off or anything, but they've got little tuners on the cables where you can, like I've put mine, the cable stretched a little bit, so you undo this little oil cream, turn this little knob, and yep, she's back in tune and back on the poundage and shoots like a dream. They're real forgiving. So yeah, I'm pretty impressed with them.
So I went and had my bow tuned by Summers on Monday, and we were talking about them. We were talking about because he had to end up shimming. We changed my string over, and he had to shim my cams across. And we were just talking about the newer bows and how you don't even have to do that. You pretty much just twist a few Allen keys and it shifts it across for you and stuff. It's just so incredible.
Yeah, and like the new lifts, they're like that now. Oh, the Logitech's been like that for a while. Still got the lift, and it shoots nice. I just shoot 2 different arrow setups out of I shoot a 470 grain arrow out of my lift, then I'll shoot a 495 or 400 out of the dart, and that's all just 2 different sort of and I just use those I'm just shooting rip TKOs with exactly the same insert on it, and all I've got to do is change to either a 150 grain head or a 125s. This one I've got set up, just got a 125 tripod on it, and the other one I usually just run a 150 grain single bevel.
What dictates what size head you're going to use?
Nothing really. Like just that, if I run if I want to use that heavier arrow setup, all I've got to do, because these are all exactly the same GPI and they're sharp, I just put a 150 grain head on there. Or I run a 125. But you mean what animal I'm shooting?
No, you just mean like what makes you go, oh, today I'm going to run with my 150 grains.
If I was going out shooting holes or something, I'd probably run with a 150 grain single bevel or nothing really. Like just the 2 different bows, and I've sided them in with 2 different arrow lengths. That's all.
Yeah.
Quite easily go back, and if I want to shoot this arrow in me dart, or I want to shoot it in there, I just change the head over. Weight arrows, that's all.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've changed my arrows up this year, or just now. So I was on the 250s for a long, long time. I've kind of shot them forever, and yeah, I've talked lots with Ian, Grant, and Benny, and essentially I've gone back to the 300s instead. So 300 spine, and then cut them as short as I possibly can on my bow. So I don't know what it actually is. I know in millimeters what it is, but yeah, essentially just cut it right back, and so should get a lot more speed out of it. Gone from probably I was heavy. I was like 585, 580 grains, and it'd probably drop it right back to probably 515 ish.
You shoot, yeah, you shoot anything in straight with it.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, it would zip through everything. So that with the 125 up front, and I'm cheering. I usually run a bit of a mixed quiver. Yeah, I kind of shoot majority the Coyotes. There's
Like me, you have 3 different arrows in your quiver.
yeah, exactly.
We used to, I don't anymore because I got caught. I got caught a few times for the wrong arrow. Like, I think, oh, I'll just put a couple of them in. If I get pigs under 20 yards, you shoot that 530 grain arrow. But if a deer comes in, I'll just shoot in 495 or 500, and I'll pull the wrong arrow out. So I don't anymore. I just carry. Each quiver's got all the same weights. They're all. And before I go out, I just make sure they're all razor sharp, and every arrow with like if I put that broadhead on that arrow and spin it and everything's right, then I'll shoot it, and then I'll resharpen it, and then I'll put it in the quiver.
Yeah, no, my weights are all the same. It's just the different head. I'll have the tri-zot, the pilot cut, and even some zots in the quiver usually.
Well, I've found out to that target. I was shooting the target there the other day. It was at 40, and I shot a gold tip. They're all about 500 grains. I shot a gold tip, Kinetic Chaos, 300 spine, with a 125 on the front of it. I shot a Rick TKO with a 150 on the front of it, and a 300 spine. Was a 300 spine Rick TKO. That was a 250. 300 spine Rick TKO with a 150 on the front of it, and they all touched each other.
Yeah, wow.
So I think that's heavy bow tuned. Out to that range, I bet you if I went to, 70 yards or something like that, there'd be a difference. But hunting ranges, if you've got your bow tuned really well, and you're going to the best guy there in Ian, if you've got that bow tuned properly, then you can shoot different heads. As long as you've got pretty much the same weights and they're cutting that same amount of wind, I think, I shoot 4-bladers sometimes, 3-bladers, and shoot tri-zots to 3-bladers, and then I'll shoot single. I shoot the what do they call it, the Cayuga Gen 2.
Yeah, pilot cuts.
Yeah, pilot cuts. I shoot them as 2-blade.
Yeah, okay.
Just like that quiet flight.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that others are noisy, but they're noisier than shooting them and using them as a 2-blade.
Yeah.
Shoot them.
Yeah, I was asking Ian about this the other day, and I don't know the exact stats, but I was asking him, when you go with the wider bleeder blade versus the thinner bleeder blade, like at what point of the flight, like the distance wise, does it actually start to get affected? And I think he said it was over 60 meters is where you'll start to see a little change, but it's not even going to be massive. I think he said at 70 meters, it's roughly like under an inch difference of what you'd see the flight channel do based on the wind resistance that starts to kick in and everything else.
You've got a perfect shot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's the difference. Like, he's right, and I'm not going to argue with him because he knows more about those than me, but the variance in that is you in the bush.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right. I used to shoot pilot cuts all the time with big leaders in them. I have no problem with it, and they shoot good. But I just I just don't think I kill them any quicker with the bleeders. And I wanted the bleeders in them. I loved it when they brought them out with bleeders in. But as soon as I started to get that, they're just a bit noisier, and I wanted something a bit quieter in flight. And I started hitting animals with them. I was like, they don't run any further.
Yeah, that's interesting.
if that single bevel is razor sharp and I get them out of the packet and I stroke them and I can just take the hair off my arm without trawling, when I put them through an animal anywhere between the liver and the shoulder, they just
drop. No, yeah. Yeah, I think
And-
they said based on the testing, it's in a reinhardt target, which is roughly the size of a red chest, right? I think Grant said it does 2.5 rotations through that when it hits because of the single bevel with the pilot cut. So you think about that damage that it's doing.
I wouldn't think so. But
yeah, maybe it was only 1.5, but it was a lot of rotation, and I was like, wow, that's pretty extreme for what it is.
You're hit like that, I would imagine that the got right around, but it's not. That's not what does the damage with a single bevel. It's the way. It's because it's a single bevel cut that way. When it cuts down through like that, it opens the lungs up. Like some of the when you see a hole cut with a double bevel and a hole cut with a single bevel, it's completely different.
Because essentially it's not like a knife, it's like a dragging.
Well, a slit, it's like it's cutting through like that.
Yeah, okay.
Hard to explain, but animals just seem to fall over quick.
Yeah.
What?
Well, I mean, when I had Ashby on it, that was one of the things he was saying is like a definite 1%er that they saw a big difference in was the single bevel versus a double bevel. Based on all the testing that they have done, that was like that was one thing he was very true to every time. It was like the single bevel does
The whole look, they do. They smash bone better, but you're only smashing through ribs.
Mm.
Any broadhead, you can go buy a broadhead of woolies and shoot a deer through the ribs, and you're going to kill it. But if you put a single bevel through the ribs, they just break the ribs open. They don't slit through them. I've shot them with double bevels, and they'll make a slit straight through the ribs. And they still go through, and they still kill the animal. With a single bevel go through, they smash that rib, and they will break a leg off, break pigs' legs, and all sorts of things with them. But I don't think you see this YouTube stuff where they talk about, oh yeah, I'm using a 200 grain single bevel because I want to smash through their shoulders and do all that sort of stuff. Well, unless you're shooting a 600 or 700 grain arrow and Adam's 80-pound bow, you're not smashing through any big bones. You're just sticking in them. And that you see that all the time. You see, oh, if you hit that big shoulder bone there,
yeah, hit it right on the point.
Even if you break a red, if I shoot a red with one of my arrows, it could break it, but it ain't killing him because it ain't going any further. And then you got to run him down, or it's just going to be a shit show. Which is why you don't take horror room shots.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
don't be overconfident just because you're shooting a single bevel. Like it's a really good broadhead, and that's pretty much all I shoot. But don't get overconfident.
No, exactly. You always aim for the best shot you can get, right?
It's just a better, I think, that's just my opinion. It's just better than a double bevel.
Well, yeah, it's also like playing your stats right? You're not going to stack up. Yeah, if you're going to, I don't know, if you're going to bet against the house, you want to make sure that it's in your favor as much as possible. The same thing when you're hunting. You want to make sure you've got the best shot on as possible to make sure it's going to be a done deal because you've done all the work and effort beforehand.
Yeah, like there's been a million animals shot with double bevels, and there's nothing wrong with them. But
yeah,
I'm looking at that little edge, and that's just a little bit more of an edge, I believe, anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
I know people say blood trails are always big with single bevels, of a whether the skin closes up easier or not, but I know a single bevel seems to do more damage inside. And they don't die any quicker just because the blood goes on green.
No. Yeah, exactly. They can bleed internally.
They bleed internally. Like if you go out and shoot a red stag, don't expect the blood training unless hurting the outsides because he's all bleeding inside. The lungs are collapsed and he's just bleeding, and he's not going to die of blood loss anyway. He's going to die of asphyxiation.
Yeah.
And a single bevel is way better at collapsing lungs than a double bevel.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. Good thing to think about when you're setting up for this year as well.
Well, most guys would probably have their setup for
anyway. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I had to laugh when I went to Summers the other day. My bow was so out of shape. I dropped it. I fell over in November last year, I think it was, and my sight had literally like came in, and then it was all loose and everything. And I went in and I said, "Oh, Ian, I think I might have to buy a new sight." And he's like, "No, look, he's screwed up a few little screws." He's like, "There you go, you're good," and just rearranged it. He's like, "Yep, your axes are all out." So changed it all and we were back on. But yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
Do it up real with Danny.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When he started talking about shimmying and stuff, I'm like, this is where I don't know what, like, I've got no idea what you're talking about. And then he starts doing it, I'm like, oh, okay, it actually isn't that far fetched. Like, if you had a press and stuff, it would be fun to tinker with.
Yeah, that's, and like my list, I've got a press and I work on my own bow, so it's not a big deal. And once the thing is with the shims, once you get the center shot and you shoot bullet holes or you shoot broadheads on the top, that's it. Like nothing, doesn't matter what your cavers do pretty much or anything, you still list your own center shot.
Mm.
So that's the advantage with that. It's just that you can't, if you don't have the press or something, then you can't play around with them really.
Well, yeah, and this is what I had to question about because I was like, I previously changed from my 250 spine jab sticks to the 300 spines, and then I went back to 250s, and then now I'm going back to 300s. But last time when I did it, I definitely noticed a difference with the shot, and I said to him, won't I have to move my sight to the right or the left based on the change in weight? He's like, no, if your bow is tuned in correctly and you've got that center shot, you won't have to worry. And so we did it exactly there. We shot the 250 spines and we shot a 300 spine, and it shot exactly the same. So it must have just been my bow had come out of tune when I'd done that.
And it could just cost the 250 is just a fraction stiffer.
Yeah.
Depending on the length of arrow and the weight you have up front. If you were shooting like a, I don't know, 29 or 30 inch arrow, and I don't know what draw length are these?
Yeah, 30, yeah.
Once you start putting 200 grains up front of that arrow, you'd be risking on a 300 spline, I'd imagine. I'm not sure, but I'm only 29 inch draw length, so I can shoot either.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never thought to even go that heavy. All my broadheads are 125s. That's just why I run across the board.
Yeah, well, you're running a heavy shaft.
Yeah.
Whereas I like to run a light shaft with a heavy up front.
Because the FOC or just because?
Just for penetration.
Yeah.
FOC, it's the funniest thing. I watch all this shit about FOC, and I'm running this arrow at 7 grains per inch, but I've got 18% FOC, so I'm going to get penetration. I'm like, that don't make no difference. Like, all you're getting is better flight from your FOC. You're not going to get more penetration. Whereas if I'm running, what's mine? 8.8 grains per inch or something, but I've got 210 grains up front. I don't need it, but I've got 210 grains up front. So that's heavy.
Yeah.
And it hits hard and that broadhead
pulls through. Yeah.
Whereas obviously your 520 grain arrow is probably going to penetrate as much, but you're a 30 inch draw, whereas I'm only 29. So I'm just looking for that extra edge in flight and in penetration.
Yeah. Have you played with that weight much? Like, have you ever tinkered going up and down and playing with it at all, or not really?
I shot, for a while there, I shot 430 grain arrows.
Mm-hmm.
You watch all this crap about light arrows and all that, and I had a couple of real failures, like, a bed and bore, shot him back here, and it should have, like, one in all arrows would have gone straight up into him, and it stuck in about probably that far and just went and bomb and stopped, and now I shot a fallow buck. Well, to be honest, I was shooting with 4 bladers, so quarters, if you're going to shoot 430 grain to the lock penetration, probably just want to shoot a sleek 2-blade,
Definitely, yeah.
So I wasn't, though. I was shooting 4-blader, and I shot a fallow buck quarter and landed up the same result, and I just went, I'm going to go back to 500 grainers, and then, these ones work out at 495s, so 210 grains up front, and 475, I think, 470 with the 125 on the front.
Is there a speed difference between those two? Like, what's?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I imagine there is. There's 25 range difference, but one's out of that Darton's, I think, it's a little bit quicker than the lift, so they're probably about the same. White and all that, one's just heavier than the other. But I shot a red with the 470 last year with a pilot cut 2-blade, and and he jumped string, and this was in May, June, so he's in a bachelor mock, and he jumped the string, and I took the corner off his shoulder blade, broke the piece out of it about an inch big, and it went right through him and come out his flank. So that's not bad penetration for a water that hit him in the shoulder blade on the way in, and still went right through him, and it was actually hanging out of him when he jumped the lantana. It fell out of him, or when I was blood trailing him, I found it laying on the ground, and I've still got that arrow on it.
It hadn't broken, like it.
No, it was just hanging out.
Just hanging out. Yeah, got you.
He slanked, and I found him. He only went, he wouldn't have went 100 yards, and it was just a slow. It didn't break his shoulder, but he fell over a lot, so I must have hurt him.
Yeah.
We took a fair chunk out of his shoulder blade. So that's the other thing with, like I said, but that single level, they seem to just, I don't know, they seem to just penetrate with take chunks out of the bones. But so I think I just feel a lot more comfortable if I can get the same trajectory with that 495 to 500 grain arrow. I feel more comfortable shooting. That's all.
Yeah. I actually I shot, it was a longer shot, but I watched a red duck and arrow last year. I was like, oh, maybe I need to work on my speed a little bit here. Like, I mean,
You could work up where you own.
Yeah.
I do that all the time. I listen to that, like Elk Shape and MFJJ on YouTube, and they talk about that all the time, and they shoot 400 grains at elk because they don't want them ducking. And I'm like, mate, I've tried it, and I think if you work it out, like if you're shooting a friggin', I don't know how fast those arrows go, like I'm shooting, like mine probably shoot 275, 280 and something like that, compared to a 300 grain. It's only going to get there this much quicker.
That much quicker, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Much better off working on where you aim. Aim at a deer where you want to hit him, you're probably not going to hit him there.
Yeah.
In the plane. Aim down in that, reds don't jump string so as much as a chittle or something like that, I don't think. But if they're switched on, if he's seen you, if you shot at that deer when he'd seen you, he'd stand there broadside and looking at you, then he's going to jump the string.
Yeah. And that's exactly what the situation was. And so,
you need to be aiming that roundabout just above a fraction above his elbow.
Yeah.
So if he does move, you shoot him through the heart. If he does move, you shoot him up through the triangle somewhere.
Yeah.
That's where I aimed on that red I said I shot with that lighter arrow. He stood up because one of his mates walked right up to me like 5 yards and busted me and trotted off. And he was bedded, and he stood up and looked around. So he was bit switched on. And as soon as I shot, I just went, whoa, they hit him high. How'd that happen? But I was aiming right down on his heart. And the only reason it clipped his shoulder blade is because when he jumped the spring so bad and turned, clipped him here and went down through him that way. And he was broadside and it went through him like that.
Yeah, wow.
So you got in
big old twist, yeah.
You just got to aim at that heart.
Not
low, not under them, because if they don't move, then you miss or you tip their brisket, but you just got to aim at the heart.
Yeah.
They're all important. If they're standing there and they're looking at you, they're going to jump, whether they're fallow, whether they're not jump, but drop.
Yeah, react. Yeah.
Everything does.
How quiet is which is your quieter bow, Darton or the lift?
Oh, I think they're about the same.
Yeah, okay. It was funny because
quiet.
Yeah, I was talking to Summers about the Darton a lot when I was there, and he was saying that poor Morgan, he's just gone through a set of limbs on his Matthews and a set of limbs on his Darton, and Summers just like, you just get bad batches, unfortunately.
Happy in that, I know guys that have done I know a fair few guys that have done limbs on their Matthews, on their lifts.
Yeah, Summers had said that.
Well, 30 plus.
Got you. That's interesting. I thought it was just purely because of the size of Morgan.
Yeah, but how's that? Is that starting pulling 70 pounds?
No, yeah, I know.
No, I said to him, how hard do you pull into the wall? Well, I've got the resistance, set on this. But I think from the pack I'm saying, I don't know. Someone on here might message you and say, oh, no, I'm 28 and I don't know a set of limbs, but, and mine might go too, and I'm 29. But it seems to me like that seems to be a pattern that maybe them limbs curl more when at that longer draw lengths.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so if they do, maybe that's overstressing them that way. It's not the pull, it's not the weight, it's the actual way
positioning. Yeah.
they've got short limbs on them, so they tune right in when you draw.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. It's weird. But he's also, I think Morgan also done set on a hoik too.
Yeah. Far out. Unlucky.
Like they're bulletproof. I've not done it. Down. I know, we probably should be talking about Overeens because we're frigging, I know, I'm not sponsored by anyone, so I don't care.
No. Yeah. True. Me either.
And touch wood, I haven't had an issue with that, but it's just interesting. I think that I know like 4 people who can lift limbs go, and they're all 30-inch plus.
Mm. Yeah, I didn't ask that question the other day because Summers showed me he had 4 or 5 different sets of limbs just sitting on the side there. So that was very interesting to see.
You're nasty.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, like what we were talking about the other day is the fact that the bows, the level they've got to now, like what you're saying with your darting and how much you can actually completely customize it, edit it at home, essentially without even using the press. They're all going to have to get to that level. Like I see essentially next year's bows are all going to be up around that same sort of standard.
Oh, you look, the technology in them now is just, they're all up there. Or you can nearly go and shoot any bow and shot. If you had yours close, it'd be hard to pick up a bad one. The only thing I pick a bow more on its draw cycle
Yeah.
than anything these days because of, getting older and shoulders are fucked and stuff like that. So you
Just smoothness.
when an animal's walking in, you can just pull back like that. You don't want to be doing this shit, like
No, big on heaving.
But you want to be facing the right way, and you want to be able to draw nice and steady on it. And I'll end up probably going back. I'd have no worries if I had to go back to 60 pounds.
Yeah. You do you buy a new bow every year?
And what that lift? No, I probably have bought 2 bows in 2 years, but now looking at them 2 bows and the way they're shooting and stuff, I probably no. I don't think I bought the dart because I needed to, but I just sold my phase 4 and I thought, we'll get a dart, and I'll set it up with a different arrow and I'll just use that.
But I mean, even between like your phase 4, your lift, and the darting, have you noticed that much of a big change year to year?
Usually just technology. Like I reckon I've got a Bowtech Insanity CPXL sitting there. I told Morgan he could have a lend of it. And I picked that up the other day and drew it, and I thought, mate, the way it holds and everything, I thought I could probably shoot just as good with this, and that bow might be 10 years old.
Yeah.
But it's just that it's got the old yokes and stuff like that, so you don't have your tuning and
And once again, the technology is just upgrading.
Yeah, and maybe they've got a bit faster and all that sort of stuff. But honestly, you could probably pick up a 10-year-old bow and shoot it as good as like a lot of guys. If you can't afford a new bow now, which is what wasn't too bad for the dart. Like if you go buy a new lift, they're 2.5, 2,600 or something.
Yeah,
I think
bare bow too.
Dart was 19 or something.
Yeah,
there's your sight. Look, 600. You've got $600 to spend on a sight or a rest or
exactly.
So, and if it's just as good a bow, then I just thought I'd just try it.
Yeah, I definitely noticed a difference going from like a mid-tier bow to a top-tier bow. Like one of that, like middle of the range to a top tier. I mean, they had a bit of time in between them, so probably four years difference or so. But I noticed a big difference there. But then shooting other people's bows and playing around with other people's bows, like I've got a 2020 Elite Cure now, and I really haven't felt the need to update. Like apart from just a desire, it's like
it's the same as if you're a rifle shooter and you got a 270 and a freaking 7mm 08 comes out. You're like, why didn't you? I've still got a 270 and mates are buying rifles now, and they're going, oh no, I'm going to get a 6 Creedmoor or this. I'm like, why 270 is better than that? You just have a look at the ballistics. The only thing you're getting is it's a 6.5mm or it's this or it's that. You know better off. As far as shooting goes, you're Elite or that other Bowtech or something like that. You tune them properly and shoot them, and then I don't. I'd argue that you might get a little bit out of them, but for what we do, hunting, like, you're not shooting in groups at 50 yards. You're shooting an animal through the heart at 20.
Yeah.
You just want, if your bow's forgiving and it'll let you get away with a little bit of canning or something like that, and it doesn't matter if it's not 350 feet per second, you're gonna kill just as many animals if that's your game. If you're shooting 3D or tack or doing something like that, then 100%. You might want the new bow and you might want all the little knickknacks and stuff like that. It's the same as sights and pins. And I just, I've had the guy saying to me, "Oh, why don't you get this sight? It's got, it's 3 pin and it's this and that." I'm like, I don't want to get confused. I've single pin when I'm calling, I set it on 20 yards and I let that animal come in. If he's 25, I'll just aim at his triangle and I know I'm still going to hit him through the heart. And if he jumps string, I'll still hit him in the triangle. And if I'm stalking pigs, I still put it on 20 because I know I can get pretty close to a pig. And if he's 30, I just aim high in his shoulder blade and I still shoot him through the triangle all the heart.
So what are you rolling? What's your single pin? A spot hog?
Yeah, I just bought a new boonie, actually.
Yeah, okay. You liking it?
Yeah, it's really nice. The old squad hogs had the little leader underneath that you put it on you say put it on 25 yards. And then, but when you push that lever to clip it in, it'd move a yard and it made a noise.
Yeah, okay.
I was really close to an animal. If I ever changed yardage, I'd be like, I better clip this thing in. I'd be like, put your hand on it. You go, oh, you didn't hear it, But this thing, you just change it and then it's got a little knobbing on the outside of that again, and you just cinch that up. Nothing moves. It's pretty good Tokar. It's got an 019 pin in it and just a single pin.
Yeah.
The spot hog, we've got a hog father on my list. It's got double pin. As soon as I started shooting it, I just went, nah. So I just put black texture over the thing, and it's a single pin.
There you go. That's interesting because I've always liked having the 3 pin, but what I find is because I haven't got into the habit of changing the slider is if I ever slide it, I always forget, and then my next shot's fucked. So I'll slide it to change the pins, and then I go back and I shoot over everything. I'm like, oh damn it, what have I done? And then I realize.
I just find I get confused with the pins, and I don't want that in the bush. I just what I said.
Simplicity.
If an animal stops and if you can range an animal at 30 yards and your pin's set on 25 and you can't judge what 3 inches in on the shoulder, then maybe you shouldn't be able.
Yeah.
Well, learning it.
Yeah.
More the fact that it just confuses me.
Yeah.
I'm looking through the site and going, top pin. Like I said, but when it's just that single dot, that nice big 019 glowing thing, I just put that in there where I want it and just fired shot.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it.
The other shit going through my head besides, holy shit, he's a big horse. Or shit, where are my feet? He's coming the wrong way. It's just, people don't understand how much shit's going on in your head when there's a stag or a black or something running at you. Or he's walking around in front of you and he's moving and there's a hind up here watching you, and there's just so much other shit going on. I don't want that. I just want to be able to, when it comes to letting that shot off, I don't want anything else in your head.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Single pin, put it in the middle of the peak, put it on his heart, and shoot the shot.
Are you worried much about like herd control or anything like that? Like if you see a cull head, you're getting rid of him as much as you can, or it's kind of where you hunt, they got enough of them, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's a bit of Brisbane Valley's full of crap anyway. Usually, like where I hunt, so just all crap there. So anything that walks in early, I'll shoot him for me.
Yeah.
If I do see a young 6, I'll let him go. But in the back of my mind, I'm going, someone's just going to drive on the road and shoot that thing anyway and say, look, I shot a 6, but it's only 3 years old.
Yeah.
What places I hunt that I've sort of got good access to and no one else hunts there, I let them all, I let a lot of them walk.
Yeah.
Look at the stage now where I'm at that age if I friggin' in 3 or 4 years, anything that's a spike an hour, I'll shoot it now because I'm never going to see it as a 6.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting concept because if you're seeing spikers on your block, they're essentially still hanging around with the hinds that have bred them, right? So aren't they going to go and breed off in another location anyway?
Oh, they might still breed with that hind, but I think that's genetically animals wild animals don't get affected as much by inbreeding, and maybe that line won't want it.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I'm not sure about how that works with them, but I wouldn't never shoot spikers off a block just for that reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you're just killing your future.
Your future. Yeah. Exactly.
I don't generally shoot spikers. If I see one now, like I said, I'm never going to see him as an 8-year-old double six. Probably won't be walking around the bush then, so I might shoot.
Mm.
You know, that's just if I've got enough meat in the fridge or I've shot something else, I won't. I'll let him walk away. I'll let him walk on. They're stupid. They just walk straight up there and you go, "Hey, what are you doing?" Well,
Yeah, definitely. Well, is there anything that we didn't touch on the reds that we should have for the rut that you would like to share?
no, I'm going to show you a couple things. Oh, I found you me caller or two. I also carry a ring sometimes, and it's not really a caller at the end. It's a bit on the beat this morning, but I do use this shit sometimes.
What is this?
It's like it's cow elk urine. I'm pretty sure you can't get red deer elk urine, so we use it in America. It's like a little tab, and it's got a bobby pin in it, and you put it in. We used to just put it on our bootlace, so it's a scent.
Mm.
It's supposed to be like vicious from a
Yeah, wow. So it just means that you're not dropping back.
breed. So I just figure, if that covers a bit of scent where I'm walking around, then so be it. Or I might even not saying they're going to follow me, but that night they'll come in there and go, "Oh, there's been a red deer on season man here," and they'll hang around a bit more, and it won't take away the human scent. But I'll put one of them on my brood, wear that for a few days when I'm out hunting.
Have you ever seen it kind of, I guess, stick to that in the sense of like, oh, some stick around a little bit more because of it?
So I've seen, we used to, when we was in Idaho, years ago, we were wearing them. There was 3 of us hunting together. We all had one of them on our boot. One day, and we walked all around this canyon, around the edges, looking for bulls. Never seen anything at all. The next morning, we were back there looking, and a bull walked exactly along where we were walking and bedded down, and Smithy shot him, and he was a massive, I don't know, 350 7.
Yeah, wow.
And I said to him, I said, "That's where we walked yesterday. Like, you reckon?" And the guy that we hunted there, he wears them all the time. He said it works. He reckons it just leaves something on the ground
That's not you. Yeah.
they might be around that area a bit more.
Yeah.
I don't know they're red deer, but I've hung them in trees over there, cameras on them, and the elk just come to them.
Yeah, wow.
Elk and red deer are the same genetics, really. So maybe it does, maybe it doesn't.
Do you have like a few of them? Can you try it out with the camera and see if it's test the theory?
Yeah, one of my wallows, put a camera on. Also.
Yeah, it could be a very interesting little test.
And it could be more a scent cover, but if it pulls something in the area, then so be it. But I wear them a bit. And other than that, nothing really, just a good sharp knife and a pack, and I've got a GPS.
Yeah, I mean, even if it was to do enough of a scent cover over, if you could walk that same, if for instance you've got 3 valleys that you get to walk and that's kind of it, then something like that could be the savior of you being able to go in day after day.
Take the scent out of there a bit, just confuse them a little bit, probably.
Yeah.
And then you're one of them things where if the wind was blowing with you, they're not
going to stick around. No.
It might confuse them for a second if one jumps on you and smells that, he might just stop and look back. You might get a shot at him, but I've never been in that sort of situation. But yeah, no, we definitely use them on elk and they work. So
you'll have dudes rubbing themselves in cow piss.
Yeah, I don't know. And what else we've touched on?
I think we've done a pretty good job. I was just checking in if there was anything else that you wanted to kind of dive into. I think honestly, every time I talk about, it's just good to get different perspectives in general. And every time I talk about reds or talk about the rut, talk about the raw in general, I always learn something new. I think of it in a different manner. And I think also just year after year, when you go in, you just start to learn, okay, I did this last year and it didn't work. Or like exactly the things that you're saying, like, why would you raw when you want them to think you're a sweet girl instead. So start with the girl calling instead. Always start with the girl calling and paint the picture for them. Like that alone is such a little piece of gold that I think people will walk away with and hopefully help to get a fair few reds down this year.
Yeah, it's just or I don't know, it's just that's the mentality. Like that depends how you hunt. What some people, if you're going to shoot, if you want to shoot things at 70 yards, then you probably don't have to do that. You sneak in and take crank at them, when they're in the middle of a bunch of lines or something like that. But I think if you want to get that close encounter and what I said, it's all situational. It depends where you are when the situation comes up. If you're in let's describe, you're on this side of the ridge and he's on that side, you look around, there's nowhere to set up, or there's trees here and there's trees there. And you don't want him to, if the wind's blowing this way, invariably, if you roar, he's going to come up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're going to try and, the wind's this, that's pretty hard for him to get behind you, but they will.
They'll still try loop. Yeah.
Fella, he'll come around you. If you're being roaring hard at him, he's not going to roar. Won't be surprised if he walks straight up. You might. But, if you start with a line call, he's definitely not going to try and read you.
No.
Not well. Some might,
but it's not as likely.
More likely he's just going to walk straight in because he just thinks it's a patch of girls. There's no threat there.
Yeah.
That's the mentality that I use for that.
No, I love it. I think it's it makes a lot of sense. Like you said, you just try and paint a picture and get them to come to you. It's it makes perfect sense.
With the camo and all that, that's just my opinion. I just think that guys, they go out and buy their camo and all that, and they think that's it, and then they go pull a black cap on and their head's sticking up out of the grass or something like that. Just your cap's got to be camo as well, and if you can break your head and shoulders up and stuff like that, it's all part of it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I had never really thought of that in general, so that's also another good little
camo tones. If I'm fishing, if I'm hunting Lantana country, I'll wear something green.
Like the limey green sort of thing that it is.
Same colors of Lantana,
yeah.
So you blend in. Whereas if you into the Cockman, I wear mainly Kuyu, but only because it's comfort. They've got good patterns. But there's colours in Kuyu that if I know, I'm going to hunt such and such today, no, I won't wear that. I'll wear that.
Mm.
And break up with the blackout because it's too dark for that country.
Yeah.
Wear that because you see it all the time. Like I've seen guys set up in front of a lantana bush or something like that, and they go, "Yeah, I've got a screen behind me," but they've got heaps of black in their camo, and you just go, you stand out like dog balls standing there, mate. Like you need to get on with your back on that black tree.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
Like the tone, it's more tone than anything. It's more, you don't want to be dark on a light background, and you don't want to be light on a dark background.
Yeah, you're just going to stick out.
Yeah, because they don't see that colour. They don't see green. Oh, Harry's got a nice green shirt on, and that's a nice green board. They see like I see it. They see tone because I'm colourblind as well. So, so if you're like with that black cap or your white face, I see you easy.
Yeah.
I can't tell what colour your beard is or anything. If it's a red beard or whatever, because I'm colourblind.
Yeah, that's actually a very good perspective because most of us do see in colour.
More tone and breakup.
Yeah.
Not so much colour, but just that tone. Like I love camo and I wear it freaking too much probably, and I get in trouble all the time, run it down the street. I'd imagine if you wore a grey shirt, an elephant, like, a mid-grade elephant grey shirt with the amount, what we have our pack straps on it and all that, you'd be just as good as wearing
Yeah.
a grey pair of pants and a grey shirt. You'd probably stand out less than half the camo we wear.
Yeah, wow. It's definitely becoming a lot more popular now, like the straight bold colours.
Yeah, just or an olive type shirt.
Yeah, olive or even khakis and stuff.
Because you're broken up with other stuff anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm not going to wear camo, really. I love wearing the camo, but it's just you see it all the time. Guys wearing just a greyish coloured shirt in the bush, and you're like, man, can't see.
Yeah. I've got 3 different blends of camo, and I definitely do kind of choose it based on where I'm going because one is definitely a lot lighter than the other 2.
I tend to go light more than dark.
Mm.
You get caught in the grass to something dark, you're standing out like a black pig, like
Yeah, true.
in the bush. If I'm going to see anything first, it's something dark.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you had a white shirt on, yeah, that's fine. But if it's just a light grey or a light green, I'm not seeing.
Yeah.
If it's black, I'm seeing.
Yeah, wow. So,
That's a tone thing. So that's my colour blindness.
yeah. Once again, it's a good perspective, right? Like, just I've only ever seen in color, so I don't know any different.
A lot of guys in Samba country use dark camo because that's the sort of country it is. Like,
Mhm.
from what I know, I never shot any of them, but when you get up here in Lantana country and grounds and green bushes and shit like that, I tend to go for that green tune, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. Well, if people want to follow along, they can jump onto Instagram. It's I Hunt and Fish, but it's just an N, not end. So I Hunt and Fish is Harry Watson's page. And then obviously you also have jackal.com.au, which is your lures, which people can jump across and get all their fishing needs sorted as well if they wanted to.
Jackal Australia and Instagrammers.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Harry, thank you very much, mate. I really do appreciate your time. We kind of had a little bit of a stuff around with when we're going to get this done because of Alfred, but he didn't floss around too much, which is good.
Alfred was a fizzer. No,
Yeah.
still got a bit of flood now, and then we got plenty of rain.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it rained non-stop here for a day and a half, but I was absolutely stoked. We did not lose power, but 100 meters up the road did, so we felt very fortunate at the end of it.
Never lost power, but a lot of people did.
Yeah, I've still got friends that are out of power until Friday, I reckon. Yeah, bit rough. Poor folk. Anyway, appreciate you, mate, and I really hope that the rut goes out perfectly for you this year.
No worries. Yeah, man.
I'll be following along.
Okay.